The assignment in the vast expanse of the Orion Arm, where stars flickered like distant campfires and nebulae painted the void in hues of cosmic watercolor. Humanity had carved out its niche, not through conquest or divine right, but through sheer unyielding persistence. We were the cockroaches of the galaxy, adaptable, resourceful, and annoyingly hard to kill. The Galactic Concord, that loose federation of alien species who thought they'd seen it all, had learned that the hard way. They'd invited us in, thinking we'd be just another junior member. But humans? We didn't do junior, we fixed things. We innovated. And sometimes, we stumbled into secrets that weren't meant for our eyes. Captain Elias Thorne was one such human. At 42, he was a grizzled veteran of the Interstellar Engineering Corps, the face etched by radiation scars and a perpetual squint from staring into too many faulty plasma conduits. His hands were calloused maps of a life spent wrenching starships back from the brink, and his mind was a database of schematics from 100 worlds. Elias wasn't a hero in the classical sense, no capes or laser swords for him. He was a fixer, a guy who showed up with a toolkit and left with everything humming smoothly. Or at least that's how it was supposed to go. The call came through on a rainy Tuesday Earth time, of course. Space didn't care about calendars. Elias was elbow-deep in the guts of a freighter's hyperdrive when his Cums implant buzzed. "Thorne, report to command. Priority 1. He wiped grease from his brow and grumbled. Priority 1 meant aliens. And aliens meant complications. The briefing room on the IEC station orbiting Mars was sterile. All white panels and holographic displays. Admiral Kwan, a no-nonsense Korean-American with a stare that could melt hull plating, gestured to the holomap. The Xel'ari outpost on Zeta Reticuli IV, it's gone dark. No Cums, no signals. The Concord wants it back online yesterday. Elias leaned in, studying the floating image of a jagged icebound planet. The outpost was a squat dome, buried under permafrost. Designed by the Xel'ari race of crystalline beings who communicated through light pulses and despised organic life forms. What's the malfunction? Unknown, Kwan said. But it's critical. That outpost monitors wormhole traffic for half the sector. If it's down much longer, trade routes collapse, and we get blamed. You're our best Thorne. In and out. Repair only. Elias raised an eyebrow. Why me? They've got their own techs. Kwan hesitated, just a fraction. The Xel'ari requested a human. Said our primitive ingenuity might be useful. Elias chuckled. Flattery or insult? Both. Pack warm. Shuttle leaves in 2 hours. The journey to Zeta Reticuli was a blur of hyperspace jumps and bad coffee. Elias spent it reviewing Xel'ari tech manuals, crystalline matrices, quantum entanglement relays, stuff that made his head spin. The Xel'ari were ancient, their empire predating humanity's first fire. But age didn't mean perfection. Even gods had faulty wiring. The shuttle dropped him on the planet's surface with a thud that rattled his teeth. Wind howled like a banshee, whipping snow into blinding flurries. The outpost loomed ahead, a metallic igloo, half buried in ice. No lights, no welcome party, just silence. Elias suited up in his Enviro armor, a bulky thing with heaters and O2 recyclers, and trudged forward. The airlock cycled with a reluctant hiss, and he stepped inside. Darkness enveloped him, broken only by his helmet's flashlight beam. All right, let's see what we've got, he muttered, activating his diagnostic scanner. The main chamber was a cavern of crystal spires, each pulsing faintly where they should have been. Now they were dim, cracked in places. Elias traced the power lines, finding fused conduits and shattered relays. Looked like a surge, but from what? He worked methodically, hours blending into one another. Replace a panel here, reroute energy there. Human tools adapted surprisingly well. A plasma torch melted ice from frozen mechanisms, and good old duct tape sealed a leaking manifold. The Xel'ari would hate that, but hey, it worked. As the systems hummed back to life, Elias noticed anomalies. Data logs showed unauthorized access attempts. Not from outside, from within. And there were life signs. Faint, but present. The outpost was supposed to be automated. Curiosity gnawed at him. Just a repair job, he reminded himself. But the scanner led him deeper, to a sealed vault he hadn't seen in the schematics. The door was biometric, keyed to Xel'ari physiology. Elias jury-rigged a bypass with a hacked interface, human ingenuity at its finest. The vault slid open, revealing a chamber of horrors. Pods lined the walls, each containing a suspended figure. Not Xel'ari? These were organics, various species, frozen in stasis. Experiments. Prisoners. Elias' stomach turned as he accessed a console. Logs flooded his HUD. Project Veil. Humanoid integration. Secret directive. Eliminate threats to Concord stability. Threats. Elias dug deeper. The Xel'ari had been running Black Ops, abducting sentients to study and enhance them. But why hide it here? Then he saw it, a file on humans. Species 87. Resilient. Adaptive. Potential for weaponization. Isolate and neutralize. Elise's blood ran cold. This wasn't a repair job. This was a trap. Alarms blared. The outpost was waking up, and not in a friendly way. Drones activated. Crystalline guardians humming to life. Elias grabbed a data core and ran. Command, this is Thorne. We've got a problem. The comms were jammed. He was alone. The Discovery Elias Thorne barreled through the corridors of the Xel'ari outpost, his boots echoing against the metallic floors. The alarms wailed like digital sirens, piercing the cold air. Behind him, the crystalline drones whirred to life, faceless sentinels with laser emitters glowing ominously. He clutched the stolen data core to his chest, its surface warm against his suit. Think, Elias, think, he gasped, ducking into a maintenance alcove. The drones passed, their sensors sweeping. He wasn't built for this. Chases were for action heroes, not engineers. But humans adapted. That's what the HFY crowd back home preached. Humanity? Fuck yeah. We didn't need fancy tech. We had grit. Peering out, he mapped his escape. The shuttle was outside, but the airlock was locked down. He'd need to override the central AI. Risky, but doable. Slipping through shadows, Elias reached the control room. The console was a nightmare of holographic interfaces designed for light-based inputs. He pulled out his multi-tool, a Swiss Army knife on steroids, and interfaced it with a human adapter. Code scrolled across his HUD Xel'ari encryption, layered like an onion. Come on, you crystalline bastards, he muttered, fingers flying. A drone rounded the corner. Elias fired his sidearm, a compact plasma pistol meant for emergencies. The bolt struck true, shattering the drone into shards. One down. How many more? The console yielded. Systems unlocked. But as he accessed the core, more files downloaded involuntarily. Schematics for weapons. Blueprints for invasions. The Xel'ari weren't just experimenting, they were planning a purge. Humans were top of the list. Too unpredictable, the log said. Disruptive to harmony. Harmony. Elias snorted. The Concord was a facade, aliens lording over younger races. Humans had upset that balance by innovating faster, colonizing bolder. Jealousy bred fear. A tremor shook the outpost. Ice cracking. Know something bigger. Elias checked sensors. Seismic activity. Artificial. The Xel'ari were collapsing the site remotely. He bolted for the vault again, an idea forming. Those stasis pods, if he could wake the prisoners, maybe allies. The vault was guarded now, 2 drones stationed. Elias improvised. He overloaded a nearby conduit, causing a spark shower. Drones distracted, he slipped in. Pods hummed. He selected one, a burly, Krogan-like alien, all muscles and tusks. Hacking the release, the pod hissed open. The alien stirred, eyes focusing on Elias. Human, it growled in broken galactic standard. Name's Elias. We're getting out. The alien Grax, he called himself, nodded. Xel'ari captured me. experiments. Together, they freed more: a sly Xel'ari thief, a telepathic Syrian, a dozen others. An impromptu alliance. Drones swarmed. Fights erupted, Grax smashing with fists, Xel'ari picking locks on turrets, Elias coordinating with tech hacks. They fought to the shuttle bay. The ground quaked, ice fissures opening. Elias piloted the craft, blasting through the dome. In space, alarms faded. But the data core burned in his pocket. The secret was out, the Xel'ari's betrayal, now to warn the galaxy. But who would believe a lowly repairman, the reckoning orbiting Zeta Reticuli? Elias Thorne's shuttle limped toward the hyperspace beacon. The ragtag crew of escapees crowded the cockpit, Grax grunting approvals, the Xel'ari chittering strategies, the Syrians silently probing minds for threats. The data core uploaded to Elias's implant. Evidence irrefutable. Xel'ari plans for galactic dominance. Using outposts like this as labs for bioweapons tailored against disruptive species. Humans first, then others. Command won't listen, Elias said. They'll call it fabricated. Grax slammed a fist. Then we fight. My people owe you? But Elias had a better idea. Humans didn't win by brute force. We outsmarted. He broadcast the data on open channels, tagging Concord frequencies. Chaos ensued. Xel'ari denied, but cracks showed. Other outposts went dark, similar secrets. A Xel'ari fleet jumped in, crystalline ships gleaming. Surrender the core, they demanded. Elias smirked. Too late. The escapees manned weapons jury-rigged, but effective. Battle raged, shuttles dodging lasers, Grax boarding a frigate, Xel'ari hacking shields. Elias piloted like a madman, using asteroid fields for cover. Human tactics. Unpredictable, bold. Reinforcements arrived, not Concord, but human fleets. Word spread fast. Admiral Kwan led the charge. Thorne, you crazy bastard. You started a war. Ended one, Elias replied. The Xel'ari flagship cracked under fire. Their leader appeared on Hala. You organics are a plague, Elias leaned in. And you're obsolete. The fleet retreated. The secret exposed, the Concord reformed. Humans rose in status, not conquerors, but guardians. Back on Earth, Elias sipped beer, watching stars. He was just meant to repair it. But sometimes, fixing things meant breaking them first. Humanity, fuck yeah.